is cut in half. It's cut in half. All right, the goal is, I get to another Monday. Get to another Monday. Get to another Monday where we get to meet in here Monday morning. All right, that's what it's all about. All right, that's what it's all about. How long can we do that? How many more Mondays can we get? All right, we're not guaranteed anything. All right, be honest with you, you should win tonight. You're a better team. It's not close, all right, or anything like that. But you know what? It's not guaranteed. It's happened before. So you got to take care of business. You got to take care of business.
"22 years, 23 seasons, and 2 championships. The Cougars' hard work and dedication came long before they graced the field. Where winning is a tradition and the sidelines are full of drive, there is not much history known about the Cougars. In 1996, Clay-Chalkville High School was built to much excitement of the community. With the building of a new school and proper funding came the building of a new football team. Solidifying a new home for the Cougars would take a village, and all they had was a grass field and a football goal, and so the dreams began. Under the construction of Tony Pugh, the Cougars set to establish themselves in an already established world of high school football. In fall of 1996, Tony Pugh would enter his first season as head coach, where the Cougars would end their season 1-9. 1997 would be a huge improvement when the Cougars would end their season 8-2. In 1998, the Cougars would end the season 8-3 and made their first playoff appearance. In December of 1998, Tony Pugh would step down as head coach of the Clay-Chalkville Cougars, and the search for a new head coach began.
Hi, I'm Hal Riddle, and I currently work in student services for Trussville City Schools. And my tie to Clay High School is that Mr. Lawrence Carter, principal, hired me to come to work at Clay on February 1st of 1999.
On February 1st, 1999, Hal Riddle became the head coach of the Clay-Chalkville Cougars. 1999 would go on to be the year of the Cougars.
And so Clay was looking for a coach, and I had talked to Mr. Carter several years earlier when he started the school, and we had just a conversation, but I did not interview, and Coach Pugh and his staff came in and did a great job. But Coach left, and almost all of those guys that were on his staff went with him.
Coach Riddle, along with his staff of brand new coaches, would continue the work that Coach Pugh started.
And so most of those assistants stayed and finished out the year and took care of their teaching assignments and commitment to Clay. And then when school was out, they left and went to work at Oak Mountain. So that was a great opportunity to hire some coaches to come in, and also it was kind of daunting at the same time because it was so many coaches we were going to have to hire to come in. But it turned out really good. So we had a really good staff. But we had an interesting year. We had, I think, a really good summer of workouts with the kids, and they were working hard to try to do what we asked them to do. But at the same time, they were learning a new terminology and some new schemes, I guess. We basically ran the same kind of offense and the same kind of defense they'd been running, but with different coaches, it was a little different.
The Cougars would gear up to take on Thompson High School in a home game on August 27, 1999, where they would win 27-7.
We started off with the first game was a home game against Thompson High School. We won that game, and then shortly after that we went to Jasper and played Walker High School, and they just wore us out. And then we won a couple of games, and then we went to Mountain Brook, and got in a real barn burner. We were up by 10 in the third quarter and then ended up getting beat 38-35.
Clay-Chalkville would go on to lose to Mountain Brook and Shades Valley. But even with 3 losses under their belt, the Cougars would not give up and would go on to become runner-up in their area and qualified for playoffs.
But Mountain Brook ended up beating us by a field goal or a touchdown. We won a couple of more games. Shades Valley, who was in our area, came to Clay, and they just beat the snot out of us. It was ugly. It was bad. We had beaten Huffman earlier, so we had a win against Huffman and a loss against Shades Valley in our area. And then our last game of the season was against Hewitt-Trussville. And so we beat Hewitt to become the runner-up in our area, which qualified us for the playoffs.
Where they would meet their first opponent, Minor Tigers, on November 5th, 1999.
Because we were the runner-up, we traveled to Minor High School, and we had a really nice game over there. I think we blocked a punt, and we had a 4th down. We went for it on 4th down there in the second quarter, I believe, and Stuart Floyd hit Tavares Doyle for a touchdown on 4th, and I can't remember how many it was, but it was a big 4th down play. And I guess we upset Minor that night, and that put us in the second round, so we got a chance to host Decatur High School, who was 11-0 at that time. They came to Clay, and we played a really, really close game the first half, and I think they came out and got a score early in the second quarter, and we came back and beat those guys in a really hard-nosed football game. So they ran 3 plays and did not score and lined up to kick a field goal and missed. So with our opportunity to take the ball, I remember asking Coach Pridmore, who was the offensive coordinator, "Coach, you think we ought to just kick a field goal right here and just win it?" And he said, "Coach, that's your call." I said, "Thanks. I appreciate the help." I do remember this. We had a group from the school that was going on a field trip out of state, I think. And one of our teachers was calling. I don't know who she got, but they were trying to keep up with the game, and they were just telling me how nervous they were all getting later. This was after the game, but it was kind of exciting. The game was exciting. Even though we got ahead and then got tied, it still was exciting.
The Cougars would go on and beat Decatur and Pelham, which only left one more team for them to face, Shades Valley.
After week 9, our practices just got better and better and better. And the week leading up to the semifinal game with Shades Valley was amazing. Their attitude, their desire to do what their coaches were asking them to do was just incredible.
The Cougars practiced tirelessly as they set out to beat the Mounties and claim their spot in the 6A state championship. The Mounties would kick off to the Cougars, who would go and take it to a touchdown in the very beginning of the game, giving them a 7-point lead against the Mounties.
Us, and we took it right down the field. I mean, just precision. We went right down the field and scored. It was 7-0. We kicked off to them, we held them, and they punted back to us, and we went right back down the field, and before they could really turn around good, it was 14-0. Our guys were excited, walking up the hill at Shades Valley. They have a field house down right at the end of the field now, but back then we all went up to the gym, and so it was a long walk back up through the parking lot and then up the stairs and into the attic part of the gym. And so we went up there, and our guys were excited, they were fired up. We went back down, and they just played an incredible half. The score ended just like the half did. We won 21-7. So and an amazing accomplishment. Those kids had qualified to compete for a 6A state championship.
With the Mounties out of the way, the Cougars had finally qualified for state.
Lee beat Lanier, and so it was going to be Clay-Chalkville and Robert E. Lee for the 6A state championship. And I'll never forget, Coach Perry said, I know the agreement says you need to bring at least 3 films in the morning. He said, Hal, tell me what you want to see. He said, you know, we run the wing. I know y'all run the wing. He said, what films do you want to see? And I thought, God, Coach, this is incredible. He said, I'll bring whatever you want. And he said, would you bring me these films? ... And so we brought them. We had, it was just easy. And he said, you need to enjoy the week. I'll never forget him telling me, you need to enjoy this week. And one of the things that I'll always remember is that Mr. Carter, our principal, got all the teachers to write a letter or a note of some kind to our players. And on Friday afternoon, because we didn't play on Friday night, we played on Saturday afternoon. So on Friday after practice, every kid got a manila envelope stuffed full of letters. And I know it meant a lot to our kids to have their teachers do that.
The day came, Saturday, December 4th, 1999. Felt like any other game day. The Cougars would travel to Legion Field, but they weren't alone. Cougar fans, cheerleaders, and band would fill Legion Field to cheer their team on.
I think I took them in the library that day, and I think I shared something with them because the band was all down on the other end. So we went down there to get a little quiet. And then we went in the lunchroom. We had pizza from Fox's Pizzas, our pregame meal that day. And I remember going back down in the practice gym. We sat down there. We were going to have a little walkthrough. And I remember the kids were getting excited. And somebody was talking to a group, and some of the kids were they were had a lot of energy. And I remember Coach Elkins walking over there and saying, guys, y'all need to calm down now. He said, you're going to have to be ready to play. And I remember I said, Coach, we are ready to play. It's really almost like a home game for us because it's about 30 minutes down there. And I remember thinking that week that all our kids had probably been to Legion Field, but I'll never forget riding down there, and when Legion Field comes into view, I could hear, golly, it's bringing back all those memories. Could hear some of the kids talking about, wow, look how big that place is, and it is. But some of them had never been out there. But until I actually took a group of kids out there, I didn't realize how special it was.
The game would start with the Cougars scoring 7 points to give them a 7-point lead that would soon be matched by Robert E. Lee.
Stuart Floyd was our quarterback, and he hit Tavares Doyle on a touchdown pass on our first possession, I think. So we went up 7-0. And we played back and forth a little bit, and then Robert E. Lee scored and made it 7-7.
The Generals would trail the Cougars 24-17 late in the fourth, but would eventually catch up, which would force an overtime where the Cougars would snap the ball to Dewey Stedemeyer, who would run it in untouched.
And so they kicked off to us, and then we were still down pretty deep, so we did just kneel on it and let time run out. And so we went to overtime again in the state championship. And so we had the coin flip, and we won. We chose to play defense, and Lee ran 3 plays and did not score, and lined up to attempt a field goal and made the field goal, so they went up by 3, 27-24. And so we got to football, and in an incredible happening, we snapped it and ran 1 play, and Dewey Stedemeyer ran in untouched.
And just like that, the Cougars would go on to become 6A state champions.
For what was the last football game played at Legion Field that year because it was the 6A game. It was the last one, and there were no more football games. This was December 4th, I think. There was not a, today we have a bowl game that'll be played out there, a college bowl game, mid-December. There was not one that year, so it was the last game played in 1999, so it was almost like the last game in the century played at Legion Field as well. But Clay picked up that championship that day, 30-27 in overtime.
I was a varsity cheerleader during the 1999-2000 football season. It was just really exciting. I mean, the stands were packed full. It was just great for our community. That was only the 4th year our school had even been around. And when we came back, there were tons of celebrations. We had a parade and everything. And I mean, we had like posters made and t-shirts made and all kinds of stuff saying that we were the 6A state champs. So it was just really exciting time. It was a really fun year for our school.
Coach Riddle would go on to coach 2 more seasons with the Cougars before he would leave in 2002 and return to Hewitt-Trussville, where he would finish out his coaching career.